And here are stories making headlines beyond the continent. Dubai Civil Defense is evacuating people from flood-hit areas after the heaviest rains on record drenched the desert United Arab Emirates. Emirates, Dubai's state-owned flagship airline, the sister carrier Fly Dubai also resumed check-ins after telling passengers to stay away on Wednesday when thousands of stranded passengers clogged the airport. Some 1,244 flights were cancelled and 41 were diverted on Tuesday and Wednesday after torrential rains flooded the Middle East financial center, including its runways and highways. Traffic congestion remained severe on Thursday, 2 days after the storms, with at least one major highway completely blocked by water and multiple other junctions and routes also cut off by flooding.
This is a very difficult situation. The last year also same like this. Our all equipment was damaged, electrical and everything was damaged. But we try our best. That time we try our best for blocking the water, but not use. Too much water came to it. Now we are helping people. There is some people I will take it to here, and if they have need food, I will bring the food on here, and I go to hotel and bring the food back.
When the raining coming, I try to save my building or at our going water inside. Maybe there is generator, electric generator, water tank, and everything is going in basement. Last time when the raining, my boss lost maybe 4 million dirham. We try to save building to no go water in basement. But I put the mud and everything, bags, everything is put in the way in the water. But water is too much. I and go in the buildings. I cannot save him. I am very sorry.
No, all transformer, water tank, all damaged. Our generator.
In the same vein, Dubai International Airport, one of the world's busiest aviation hubs, remained in a disarray on Thursday after unprecedented heavy rain led to airliners having to negotiate flooded runways. Check-ins for Emirates and Fly Dubai, the airport's two main operators, had reopened. The airport warned that its Terminal 3 was experiencing high volumes of travelers as airlines tried to handle the backlog from cancellations and delays. Now, this comes after the United Arab Emirates was inundated with water on Tuesday after storms dumped more than a year and a half's rain in just a few hours, flooding roads as well as the international airport based in the metropolis of Dubai. Speculation was rife on social media, linking cloud seeding, which involves the manipulation of existing clouds to induce rain, to the unprecedented precipitation. But experts say the record rainfall was likely caused by climate change. Now, joining us on the news is Desmond Majekodunmi, an environmentalist, to discuss this. Good evening, Desmond. Thank you so much for joining me.
Good evening. Good to be with you.
All right. So now many have actually said that Dubai rains were caused by cloud seeding, while others say it's not possible. What's your take on this?
Definitely not possible, not that kind of volume of rain, and the timing as well, because when you do the seeding, it has to be within a short period that the rain will fall. And that massive spread of the rain as well. But, to do that kind of seeding, you'd have had to have like maybe 100 airplanes pouring those seeds. No, it is climate change. It is global warming. And this is something that we've been warned about in the past, and it's very, very simple science. I mean, we learn about this, in primary school. When you add heat to water, you get evaporation. More heat, more evaporation. Come on. So you're going to have a whole lot more water vapor in the sky, and that is eventually going to fall as heavier rain. Apart from that, when the air is warm, it can hold more moisture. So this is something we've been told about. We've been told that it's going to happen, and it has started happening. What happened in Dubai is not even rainfall. This is rain bomb. This is a rain bomb. 1.5 years rain that will fall in one day in a dry, arid area. wow, nature is giving humanity some very, very loud alarm calls now, because we've been messing up far too much, far too long. And this is the type of thing. The catastrophic consequences of this one are even small compared to what could happen if we don't change our attitudes, if we don't change our actions of pouring millions and millions and hundreds of millions of tons of toxic gases into the atmosphere that are upsetting the natural systems of this earth that make it a wonderful planet. It's our only home, so let's not wreck it. It's a warning sign.
Very interesting, Desmond. It's also quite ironic that, part of East Africa has suffered from drought over the years. Now, do you think that it would have been a good idea, or it would be a good idea, to employ cloud seeding in these parts for the rains?
Well, yeah, it helps a little bit. It's not a necessarily very negative type of activity. We've been doing it, experimenting with it for a few decades. Basically, it's just, going up where you have to have a bit of moisture in the first place. And it's just going up and putting some chemicals, particularly saline kind of solutions, into the clouds. And then that, it makes them condense, it makes the water in there condense a little bit more, and it falls. But it's also an indication of the incredible, miraculous systems of this earth, this our wonderful planet that we have neglected so much, that we've just, taken advantage of. You see that blue sky there? There's a reason why the sky looks blue. And that's because of the gases that are in that sky. When you go beyond the atmosphere, beyond the 100 or so kilometers of our atmosphere, then you now see that the sky is black between the stars and between the galaxies. And when you're looking at those stars and those galaxies, it is supposed to bring humanity into your heart and into your mind. Because this earth, this little earth, our only home, is just a little speck in our own in our own little Milky Way, which is a galaxy. Do you know that there are billions, not millions, not hundreds of millions, billions of planets in our galaxy alone? And guess what? There are billions of galaxies with billions of planets. Now, so far with the technology that we have, we've been able to observe quite a lot of other planets. And so far, this is the only one that has a kind of capacity to support life. And part of that reason is because of the way that our atmosphere is knitted together with different gases, allowing a certain amount of heat to come from the sun, trapping some of that heat, allowing water to flow in the atmosphere in a vaporized form, and then eventually that water condenses through various other reasons. Sometimes it's just because the wind is blowing the water vapor up and the clouds are becoming more condensed because of the coolness there. It's a very intricate system. And we, in our arrogance and ignorance, have been messing with this system. And that's why you have what happened in Dubai, this arid area. There 1.5 years of rain falling in one day. And this is just one of the many, many signs that nature has given us. Because one thing about nature, she follows very, very strict laws. There are laws of action begetting reaction. A little earlier, I spoke about our Earth, our little planet circulating around there. There's a reason why the Earth has been circulating around the sun for eons and eons and eons and eons, because the Earth is also obeying that law of action begetting reaction. In this case, it's the gravitational laws. But there's many, many other manifestations of that law on Earth. What you sow is what you reap.
Desmond.
And
now, talking about playing God and putting our planet at risk, what would you say are the drawbacks or downsides, to cloud seeding, especially with the challenge of climate change that we face as in the world today?
Yes, well, the cloud seeding shouldn't be. It's been experimented with. It doesn't have too many negative effects. As long as you use the right chemicals and you don't get carried away with it, But what makes a lot more sense is to try to avoid the situation that will require the cloud seeding. Try to avoid a situation that will cause tremendous drought over long periods of time in specific areas. You know that the Sahara Desert at one time was not a desert. Yeah. It was covered with vegetation. Well, although it was a pretty dry area and the rainfall was not that much, but it was enough to sustain the vegetation. Likewise, where the UAE is and where Dubai is. But over the years, because of our ignorance in those days, we were just cutting down all the trees, deforesting that whole area. And it became drier and drier. And you see the trees play a role as well. The forests are like relay runners for the rain. So again, because of our negative activities, due to our ignorance and lack of understanding about the fundamental rules, that what you sow is what you reap. If you sow destruction into nature, she is obliged to sow it back. And this is a warning. This is what we're seeing in this Dubai situation. Yeah, the cloud seeding, it helps a little bit, but it shouldn't be necessary. It shouldn't be necessary. And we need to be a bit careful if we feel that, okay, we can overcome the damage, we can overcome the negativities that we're perpetrating on nature through our technology. No.
Okay.
Just nurture nature. And this is in scripture as well. This is, it's right there in all the scriptures. Yes, in the Holy Bible, it's there. We're here to replenish the earth. We're here as caretakers of the earth. In the Holy Quran, we're caliphs, which is a form of expression of caretakers. We are meant to look after nature. We're meant to nurture nature. And when we do that, she nurtures us. That's why at our Lufasi Park, our motto there is loving nature. And if you love nature, she loves you back. So yeah, the cloud seeding shouldn't be necessary, but unfortunately, we're having to apply it, and we shouldn't apply it too much because it could cause negative disruptions.
Absolutely, Desmond. Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this. We appreciate you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, with that, we'll take a quick break, and when we return, Beyond the Continent continues. Stay with us. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. Now, Scotland's government tells the devolved parliament it will abandon its target to reduce carbon emissions by 75% by 2030 after the UK's Climate Change Advisory Committee described it as beyond credible. The announcement was greeted with outrage by environmental groups. The UK Climate Change Committee last month sharply criticised Scotland for repeatedly failing to achieve its climate targets. Scotland's First Minister, Humza Yousaf, vowed that the country would still meet its target of reaching net zero by 2045.
We're always clear with us that the 2030 target was a stretch target. That was clear to all of us when we all committed, when we all backed that target in the first place. But what doesn't change and what won't change is that end destination of 2045.
The Climate Change Committee is clear, and I quote, that the UK is already substantially off track for 2030 and achieving future UK carbon budgets will, I quote, require sustained increase in the pace and breadth of decarbonisation across most major sectors. Indeed, we do see climate backtracking at UK level. With severe budgetary restrictions imposed by the UK government and under the continuing constraints of devolution, we are trying to achieve societal and economic transformation with one hand tied behind our back. In this challenging context of cuts, UK backtracking, we accept the CCC's recent re-articulation that this Parliament's interim 2030 target is out of reach. We must now act to chart a course to 2045 at a pace and a scale that is feasible, fair and just.
What the UK government are saying is that we can roll back on our commitments, and it is the planet, it is people that will suffer the effects. And now today, this SNP Green government is going to roll back on its climate commitments. So why is Humza Yousaf following the Tories' lead?
NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg said Thursday that Ukraine had an urgent critical need for more air defense at a G7 foreign ministers meeting on the Italian island of Capri. Now, he was speaking to reporters ahead of a working session on Ukraine, also attended by Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba. Ukraine has struggled on the battlefield for months, outgunned and outnumbered by Russian forces amid a shortage of Western military aid. Stoltenberg said that there had been important, encouraging signs of new military support from NATO allies, including the scheduling of a U.S. congressional vote this weekend on a long-stalled $61 billion package of aid.
And we now have encouraging messages, signs from the US Congress that they will vote on a package of 61 billion US dollars for Ukraine in the coming days. And if we put this together with all the other announcements that we have seen over the last weeks, I am encouraged by the commitment and the determination by NATO allies to stand up for Ukraine. 99% of the military support for Ukraine comes from NATO allies, and it's of vital importance that NATO allies sustain and step up their support. It is urgent because every day with delays causes more death and damage in Ukraine. So we should have given them more earlier. So there is an urgent need now, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. So the sooner the better, because delays in delivery of air defense means that more Russian missiles will hit.
The head of Iran's Nuclear Protection and Security Corps, Ahmed Haqtalab, has threatened to target Israel's nuclear facilities if it strikes Iranian atomic sites, as they anticipate retaliation for Tehran's unprecedented weekend attack. Now, Israel's military chief has vowed a response to the Iranian aerial attack, which was mostly intercepted, while world leaders have urged de-escalation. Violence involving Iran-aligned groups across the Middle East has soared since the start of the Israel-Hamas war with the Tehran-backed Palestinian militant group's October 7 attack.
رژیم صهیونیستی هر اقدامی بخواد علیه مراکز و تأسیسات هسته‌ای ما انجام بده، حتما با واکنش ما روبرو خواهد شد. اگر هر گونه تهدیدی و اقدامی از سوی رژیم جعلی صهیونیستی علیه تأسیسات هسته‌ای کشور به وقوع بپیوندد، امکان مقابله به مصر با استفاده از سلاح‌های پیشرفته وجود خواهد داشت و قطعاً مراکز هسته‌ای رژیم مورد تهاجم و عملیات قرار خواهد گرفت. دست‌ها روی ماشه شلیک موشک‌های قدرتمند ما برای نابودی اهداف
UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres on Thursday painted a dark picture of the situation in the Middle East, warning that spiraling tensions over the war in Gaza and Iran's attack on Israel could devolve into a full-scale regional conflict. Guterres also said Israel's military offensive on Hamas militants in the Gaza Strip in retaliation for their unprecedented October 7th attack on Israel had created a humanitarian hellscape for civilians trapped in the besieged Palestinian territory. Iran unleashed a barrage of missiles and drones on Israel over the weekend after an attack on its consulate in Damascus, widely blamed on Israel. Israeli officials have not said when or where they will retaliate, but the country's military chief has vowed a response.
In Gaza, 6.5 months of Israeli military operations have created a humanitarian hellscape. Tens of thousands of people have been killed. 2 million Palestinians have endured death, destruction, and the denial of life-saving humanitarian aid, and they are now staring down on starvation. An Israeli operation in Rafah would compound this humanitarian catastrophe. The Middle East is on a precipice. Recent days have seen a perilous escalation in words and deeds. One miscalculation, one miscommunication, one mistake could lead to the unthinkable, a full-scale regional conflict that would be devastating for all involved and for the rest of the world. The moment of maximum peril must be a time for maximum risk.
The ex-agent's 12 years with the Israeli spy agency has given him a unique insight, and since the October 7th Hamas attack, one of his best sellers has taken on an eerily prophetic air. Now published in 2017, The Shock described a deadly conflict that starts with a Hamas militant raid on kibbutzim near the Gaza border and culminates into a devastating Israeli attack on Iran in retaliation. Now, last weekend, Iran launched hundreds of missiles and drones at Israel, which now appears to be preparing a response to this unprecedented attack. The crisis is now just a few steps from the apocalyptic events envisioned in his book. Ben David, the son of a Holocaust survivor, said calmly.
We went to all the kibbutzim and the villages along the Gaza border. And in each one of them, I checked the place and I said, okay, where would be the best place for Hamas to attack? And I picked up 3 or 4 places along the border, one of them being Kfar Aza. And when I walked there along the fence, I looked and I said, okay, if I was Hamas, what would be the best place for me to attack? It's protected for an everyday life. It's protected if there is a specific attack on one place, then the army, whatever it is, 5 kilometers from there or so, will arrive and solve the problem. But it is not protected for an overall invasion that will happen in I described like 5 places, at the end there were 20.
And that's all on Beyond the Continent. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do you follow us on social media? We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.